Okay, so how much, the wages we get now these days? Our wages is $68 for per month, yeah, and it is not enough for one worker's full month cost. And the, companies or the, whoever try to learn, do all this voluntary program, like, helping women to create a bank account. And my answer to them, what a joke. These women are not making enough money for the living, and you are helping them to make a bank account? Are you kidding? Literally they are, okay? She don't have money to bring food in the table for her and her kids, and they are putting, some program for her, having bank account, and gap is where. So bank account is here, and my wage is here, okay? So where we are today. When I say there is a lot of challenges, we have some, advances as well, or some successes. The successes we have, one of them is Accord on Bangladeshi Fire and Building Safety, which has been signed between the companies and with unions, and we have like nearly 200 the companies and retailers who sign on that. For what? To save the lives. And to have these, what we have been paid. We paid 1,138 lives in Rana Plaza, 112 in Tajreen Fashion. I can count, like, endless. So since 2005 to 2014, we have paid, nearly 2,000 lives in order to have this accord. These companies didn't listen to us until this bigger debt toll. So this is one we paid. The accord is, we consider it a groundbreaking document because it includes workers' voice in their inspection. It is nothing like traditional way, like the traditional, what it is, what I call traditional, but it is voluntary, the real word is. So what they do, they go to the factory, but factory management always know when they are coming. So ahead of the, the inspection, the management get enough time to coach workers on what to say. If workers don't tell the, what they have been taught, they're going to fire, they're going to be fired or beaten. So the, the inspection that now we have within the code, it is not like that traditional way. It is the workers who join in the inspection, it is not handpicked by management. It is chosen by the unions, so workers can, connect with them. So that is why, and it is legally binding, it is enforceable. So the companies who sign the code, if you are not compliant with the rules and regulation, we can sue them in their native country. So we believe this is a good one. But to defeat that, some of the companies like Walmart, Gap, VF Corporation, they invented another one which is called Alliance. Again, it is a traditional, voluntary, whatever we can say, that doesn't include real workers' voice at all. The wage we have today, $68, to have these or to get this wage, what we have paid. We paid at least 2 workers' life who have been shot. I was in prison for a month, facing 11 criminal different charges, along with my co-workers. And we paid, I would say my center paid one of my co-workers' life. He kidnapped and beaten to death. Until today, nobody has been arrested for that. We have these, challenges too. And top of that, how are the union voice? Don't we talk about that? Yes, we do. Like Tajreen and Rana Plaza really created momentum. And now, last 2 years, we were able to organize and register, nearly 200 union, and prior to that number was only 20. When these 200 blow your mind, don't be so happy with that, because getting union registration doesn't mean you have the contract with your factory owner. So out of these 200, we have like 10 contract with factory owners. You need to have an individual contract. So still we are fighting with that. So when you have this opportunity, what are the challenges we are having now? In this moment, if workers try to organize, they're being threatened, beaten, fired, falsely charged, and face the robberies too. So this is the challenges we face, but we really have amazing young women who really eager to make this change, and I believe that together we'll do that. And I will just want to finish one thing that finish with one thing that now in this moment we are fighting with the companies to have compensation for Rana Plaza victims. And today in this room, it is a pleasure to having Mahinur Begum with us. She's sitting here. She's just 18 years old, and she was trapped in that crack building for nearly 24 hours. She survived, lost her toe, and she's doing this 3 weeks tour with United Students Against Sweatshop and with International Labor Rights Forum, asking the universities to do a real commitment, asking the brand to sign on their code, and in the same time, the company like Children's Place, and Benetton, asking them to pay the full and fair compensation that they owe to this worker. But what happened? Yesterday, we were in New Jersey at Children's Place headquarters, doing protest, and we got arrested. Shame on these companies. They, top to bottom, the factory owners from Bangladesh to the Children's Place companies like in US, elsewhere in Europe, they all are criminal. They don't, care about these lives. Creating jobs, they might be proud of that we create these jobs, we empowered these women. Listening that, it's here fine, but true, we do have jobs. It is nothing close to the women empowerment. It is nothing close to the, to even learn what is the economic freedom is. The women in Bangladesh, they don't have their ownership on their salary. They need to pay their husband or their brother or their, father. Worker like Mahinur, she hadn't had ownership in her salary. She had to pay to her brother, and when she couldn't pay, when she didn't have job, she has been thrown out in the street. That is where we are. So creating jobs do not mean that you gave us empowerment. We want these jobs, we need these jobs, but we want these jobs with dignity. And when we get dignity, that I consider that we get women empowerment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me at this conference. And the work is getting easier after the previous session and what I heard from these two presentations in this session. That makes me feel a bit less alone after how I was feeling during this first week of the CSW. Because the challenge that we are facing is that organized work, and workers are not considered at all in the process of the UNCSW. We are included as trade union and organized work within the civil society. That's great, because this is part of our daily job to to build alliance, to coalesce with many actors and organizations in the civil society. We share a lot of campaign, we share a lot of work, we share a lot of research and common activity. But the point of view of the organized work is exactly that to implement international labor standards and at national level to act to respect international labor standards and regulation. And I'm very happy that we are going straight to the point to discuss how women can be really empowered, but I would say in general, how can we approach the future in the Sustainable Development Goal process, looking at how we can share the benefits of our economies, of our society, rather than sharing the spreads, as Robert Wright recently said, of the economy. I think that we had the previous was mentioned, this recent agreement with the UN Women and Uber. I don't want to come back on that. We took a strong position as trade union movement yesterday, and many civil society organizations are joining to our protest on this, it's not proposing that informalized work with no right, without all of national and international regulation and law, can be an opportunity for women, that we can build a better society and empower women for the future. It's exactly the opposite, as Kalpona just is saying. I was a bit shocked when I heard of this news, and this matched a bit with what last Friday during the workshop opening the weeks of the UNCSW, the Minister of Labor of Zimbabwe said. He said, "Oh, women did great." Achieved great position in our society, which they have now full access to employment. Imagine that they not only work in the field, now they have full access in working in mines. I said, wow, that's really great. That's really great. And I wonder, under which conditions these women could have access to a job in mines. That is not said. So the point is that we have regulation, international labor standards. Shona spoke previously about this. We have international labor standards that protect women, that protect workers in general, and that protect migrants. The globalization of production is in fact affecting the respect of these standards and the respect of labor rights. And I would add that this is a global strategy that is shifting powers from government to corporate and to the financial market. And if this emphasis on the private contribution to the sustainable development goal doesn't take into account at this point, we are preparing a nightmare for the future generation. And it will not be enough to have some empowered and leading woman here and there around the world to say that women are empowered. Let me give you another example. We are speaking about how to empower women, but along with this discussion on standards, how to implement standards in the Sustainable Development Goals, having standalone standards on gender equality and so on, nobody is speaking about what is going on with this secret trade, secret negotiation on free trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TTIP, or the TISA negotiations that are secret. Nobody has access to this paper. But can we evaluate what can be the impact on women of free trade agreements that reduce even the power of government to regulate their market and their public services that are a fundamental part to be developed if we want women to access with dignity and with decent work and decent wages the labor market. The austerity, this long period of austerity and economic crisis has produced an even more deregulated financial system, and has produced an even more deregulated global labor market. I don't think it's excessive or it's too tough to say that we are nearly to slavery in many countries, and women are the first to be affected of that. But we heard before how powerful can be the power of women organizing in cooperative to access. Can you imagine how can stand a cooperative in facing a multinational corporation that is challenging government? There will be no future. There will be no future. So I think that we need to take into account that the challenge is global. And it's a challenge that looks at, the well-being of our community. Professor, I don't remember, Seymour, introducing this discussion, he said, we may think that maybe even work, even labor has become a commodity, has been commodified. It is true. We are all tools in the hands of the capital and of the multinational. And this is denying the dignity of workers and mainly the dignity of women. So I think that looking to the perspective means that we have to look with our gender perspective and in terms of the organized work. I think that there are some instruments that we need to ask, and they are necessary. First of all, respecting international labor standards, having an international standard for protecting women against violence, and why not thinking that there can be sanctions when governments doesn't implement this. Is it possible to think something about that? We have strong campaign going around the world, but nothing happening on social protection floor and universal access to health. These are fundamental tools to recognize the dignity of women and their capability to access the labor market in a gap,